So, Nightshade, the current state of PSO2 NGS and why it is dying plus NGS headline aftermath. So here you go, Nopi. Like always, chat, go to your yields.
This guy's a furry, right? And that's my business.
Of course,
but I will say this.
You guys, you guys haven't had fully time in a while, did you? So there you go, chat. There you go. With all fluffy, that is true, we do. Hey, you know, if she got horns, I can have cat ears, right? So, just saying. But let's get into that. Once again, like always, let me know how the audio is, chat, if I need to bring it up, down, or anywhere in between.
I don't normally make videos like this, which I've been saying a lot lately.
I feel you, lady.
But there's only so long that someone who invests so much time and effort into the game can hold their tongue. Although I don't involve myself in things related to drama, and I
real quick. I feel on this as someone who's been covering the game since January of 2020. Also agree on the drama stuff. Like, drama stuff is not news. Without affecting the overall full community and the game itself, it's not new. Scene pulpit, thank you, Pep.
Try to stay away from the negativity in the game, and anyone who has seen my content before knows that every time this whole thing comes around when people say NGS is dying, I'm like, guys, it's not. Don't worry.
It's dying on YouTube, not in the game.
The game's not dying.
Content creators are dying.
But honestly,
not the game.
Now, it seems entirely possible. And to be quite honest, NGS is...
Yeah, okay, yeah. I wouldn't say possible yet. But as I have said, this is the fourth, real chunk to the wall to break off.
It's not dying because of the devs. It's also not dying because of Sega. It's dying because of us. I've always said and been a firm believer that dead game syndrome comes from people saying the game is dead.
Which come from bad morale.
Looking for a game that you want to invest your time and effort and even money sometimes into. And when you ask around or you look up information, you see people saying the game is dead.
Yeah.
And only negative comments.
Yeah, and that don't get new players in.
I wouldn't play that game. I wouldn't touch that game. That would definitely turn me away. Look, this isn't my first.
Cause to be honest, the only part that I Sega side is like I have said many times, the game itself is not bad. Yeah, we have our issues, you know, we have our progression, we have all stuff in that line. But the main part that would be Sega fault is I'm a firm believer boil back down to mainly the communication side. Like I have said, how PSO should have been listed as the only assets to Athea came out. And in the end, version 2 should have been 1.0. But I feel like that the biggest thing is the lack of information, the lack of context, and stuff just happening. And the rhyme or reason of it is just assumption by the player base. Oh, you guys have heard it probably 100 times here on this channel from Joe and a few other people of oh, the devs are lazy. Oh, they don't know what they're doing. Why do you think that is? It mainly because the communication of we doing this is what we are doing, this is what coming, this is the stuff that we hoping to get working, no guarantees, but we hoping. We don't really have that. So in return, for example with the headline stream this month, we got all the repeat content that we have seen before, just with a new coat of paint or distant shading on it. And to the player base, that just sound oh, they're just being lazy. Why are they doing it? They're cashing, they're lazy, they're not doing anything. Well, realistically, that could have been something more along the lines of oh no, we working on this type of content. But the thing is, that content either got put back or have evolved into something bigger, which we have seen many times in gaming. Look at Tears of the Kingdom, originally starting out as an expansion for Breath of the Wild. You can see how that happens in the game industry. But the thing is, Sega don't talk to us. They just like, healed up. You like it, right? And then everybody is just, dumbfounded, and Sega be like, okay, you like it, and just leave. That is the Sega problem, which is, well, like the morale problem coming in. Which is not really like a dev problem. It literally is just a communication problem. And if Sega would bluntly be like, everything we working on may or may not make the cut. No guarantee on any of this. Any of people going to get mad. And, we have like the situation like what happened to Blizzard with Overwatch. But the more open and public you are with the player base, the more sane player base, and the people who actually follow the ins and outs and keep up with the Joneses of development would be a lot better, I feel. Like, they still will have hate, never gonna escape it. But I feel like the community itself, like the diehard community, would be, being like, oh yeah, it sucks right now. But in like 2 months, or in like, whatever amount of time, it's like, we got all this stuff happening. And that, I feel like this is the problem is on Sega behalf. Beyond that, I'm 100% with Nightshade. It's like, yeah. It's like negativity just spawn more negativity, and then we spawn let interest from the greater player base. So yeah, in one of them cases of like Sega, the best way to put it is Sega is the match, and we are the kindling. Like, we are the one that gonna call the fire, the fire gonna call the fire the bread. Sega just light the fire. And the thing is, there are many reasons for this being a thing. Sega have always been tight-lipped. Japan studios in general are usually tight-lipped. The whole reason NGS became a thing outside of Japan is, once again, just Microsoft shoving money at them, because they honestly, let's be honest, they never had the interest to bring it over here after the fourth cancellation. So it's just like Sega in so many ways is in that camp of, very, very like melancholy and not really wanting to deal with anything, You throwing like all the Japanese stuff with the way it became in the West, and it just like, in many ways, you could say it kind of feel like they are trying to sabotage it, or they just doing what they have always done, and that stuff just do not fly outside of Japan. But yeah, the player base itself is not helping at all. But the main reason they're not helping because we got no hope and nothing to look forward to. Which is because Sega won't tell us anything. So it's like, it's a vicious cycle here.
Or second, or 10th, or even 15th MMO. I have played a lot. And I know that negativity just kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But I've always felt like NGS has been different for me.
Second, anybody put opinion is negativity.
Although I do things like community events and whatnot to bring people together, I'm not blind.
By the way, chat, don't forget Nightshade. You're doing a big community event here soon, by the way. Make sure to subscribe Nightshade.
To the negativity. But at one point, you could choose to avoid it. Yeah, you go on social media, you see a couple of negative comments or negative tweets or whatever, X's, I don't know what you call them. And you move past it and you see screenshots and people talking about cool things that they did. But now, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
NGS was my happy place, and you took it away. Sometimes we'd see people being negative.
Yeah, let's be honest. I'm with Nightshade on that. Like, maybe happy place is not the way I would put it. But NGS, for me, was the MMO that got me back into MMOs. Since as I have stated many times, as a Final Fantasy 11, diehard and oldie, no other MMO ever like lived up in the same way. But oh, yep, I see it. But PSO did technically like give me back interest in PSO Or in MMOs, I mean. Back interest. Oh, God. Hang on, chat. I got this. I got this. Give me 1 second. Let's see. There we go. Get rid of that. Done and done. Okay. Okay, hang on, chat. Hang on. So, okay, chat, you know what to do. We bam emote. We just bam emote because I don't think Queen chat will get it off my queen. We're doing it, chat. We're just gonna do all the bam. Do the bam, Pip. Cause I can't exactly ban We Dream. Hey Pride, how you doing? I guess I could refresh. Hang on, chat. I got a plan here. Give me a second, chat. Yeah, shut down when not available. There we go. Hey, there we go. That works. Okay, let me get rid of that. There we go. We're gonna take a moment for our ad thing to come back, but we got it, chat. Okay. Any day now. Any day now, my ad will start working again. The love of weed fletching, chat, I guess. But how you doing? How you doing, Pride? There it is. Okay, we back. We good. Okay. Moment of silence, so I know where to cut this out at when we upload it to YouTube. Got it. Okay. There we go, chat. Well, welcome to my editing trick. Well, I'll just do silent, and if I see silent, like, cut. But anyway. Yeah, PSO2 with the fourth MMO to get you emotionally investment. I agree with that, boy. Like, as you guys saw with, like, the Miku stuff, then, and Thank the Pride, it's like, yeah, other than Final Fantasy 11, like, PSO and the community of PSO, because I'm not usually one to, like, get invested in, like, fandoms or anything by any means, or community by any means, because I have talked about this, of just, like, I keep track of the community we are in. Might be PSO, might be like Wayfinder right now, might have been Tower of Fantasy when we were covering Tower of Fantasy. You know, I keep track of what's happening in the community. But, you know, on like a personal level, I'm never like super involved, mainly because, you know, time. Like, I'm almost 40, time it's hard. So I have enough to like do bare minimum to at least keep track of what is happening. Which is the one downfall to the for me for that quill, sadly, just like, you know, time and not being able to, like, you know, just like constantly be engaging with the community outside of my own outlet, which is, you know, my own problem. But with that being said, like the PSO2 community and the NGS community by proxy, like, that would probably, honestly, like, especially hanging out with the Mikus, hanging out, you know, with a lot of the early content creators back when, you know, PSO2 came to the West, like, that was probably the most involved I ever was, which in return, right there with you, I felt emotional when, obviously, like we have talked about, but like the Miku console, it's just like, that was the straw that, like, broke the camel back of just pure frustration in the community, and the reason why, like, everybody that were covering the Miku console usually ended with tears, because we all felt that frustration. So I feel your blade on that. Absolutely. Sadly wasn't there for the Miku console. Yeah, the Miku console stuff, like, because in the darkest of time, that became like the channel for a lot of people who still wanted to hold on to like the community stuff.
And lobbies and things like that. And I want to say Ship 3 is a very like, we're a very, I guess, like more positive natured ship. Again,
I agree with that.
Things like that exist, but I feel like overall it's more positive.
I agree.
And almost
But my
every
opinion
day
with Ship 3,
I walk into a really negative conversation, which is wild to me. I don't know if it's just coincidence or what. As I mentioned social media before, you could push past all that stuff. I always ignored it and got mostly positive things, but now that's...
Yeah, I kind of ignored it as well mainly because a lot of the negativity was very like, oh, I got banned, or that person did this. It was like very, I get isolated in like it drama and it badness, like, and then the ones that we didn't were just like, if we saw it be like, oh, this sucks, like, yeah, it does, I agree, moving on, you know. So I 100% understand what you're getting at here. Will it change?
I love NGS with my heart and soul. I have an unhealthy connection to the game. I will fully admit that.
I still want a wappy tattoo, so
I normally stick to making like fashion content and guides for new players and things like that. But it's just, on this topic, I felt like I had to say something. And maybe this is just me venting, or maybe people are going to be angry and hate me for this video. But I think the fault,
not here anyway,
NGS is going falls on us. And this has been something that's been slowly building up and increasingly getting worse. But let's talk about the recent hot topic.
Real quick on the last bit of topic on the players, though. Like, yeah, you could honestly also see that in the, like, the headline stream plot stuff as well. Because as the headline stream plot continue, and you hung around and you watched it, or looked at chat, or just listened to G-Wit, and mainly G-Wit, because, you know, Danger stayed out of the bet she could, which, you know, good for her. But you could feel, like, the intensity, like, of, like, aggression just growing, like, more and more as we got closer to the last headline stream, plus stream, which I have no idea if that was played into the decision of moving on from that or not, beyond, you know, G-Wit personal thing or whatever going on with Danger. But I imagine, as someone who literally do online content full time, like, man, you know, there were moments during them headline plot where they were like, fuck, we don't want to do this today. We don't want to do this. You know, they had days like that. So, ugh, I feel on that. Yeah, you can play, which is probably how I'm gonna play Fantasy Star 1. But yeah, they not like remake by any means, because the remakes was the PS2 games. I get they did updated version for the ages, for 1 and 2, where they actually had like maps and stuff. From my understanding, other than that PS2 port that never came out of Japan, like the Asian version that you are playing, like the best way to play PSO, or not PSO, but Fantasy Star, Elite 1 and 2 anyway.
The last NGS headline we had, many people are extremely upset about it.
For good reason.
And honestly, like, I get why. We've kind of been spoiled lately. Even though people still complain about the previous headlines with lots of information, they've been jam-packing headlines with information. And for us to go back to getting a normal event headline, it feels weird. It feels like not enough. I mean, I just remember after the headline ended, I was like, oh, that was it?
I wouldn't say we had a lot of information. I would say, when I think a lot of information, I think about like full-on breakdowns, which they have never done. But if we counting them being like, heal outfit, heal quest, heal origin quest, heal the, you know, just like, If you count a list on a chalkboard as information, then yes, I do agree. But that's still not that's still not a lot of information, to be totally honest, at all.
But that doesn't mean the future of the game is bleak. This is completely common. If you look at any
absolutely
of the past
no,
headlines,
like, there are a lot of people that done.
I would say at least 80% of them are just about the event. So
the problem is, I don't even feel like this headline was technically about the event, because you know, if you boil it down and more like, oh yeah, season event, and then like limited time event that feel like it's not really connected by any means, like at all. I get that would be like my biggest thing about that headline stream, other than like the repeat content. And like previously, like yeah, like the holiday event we had was like a little more like, oh, that lead into that, lead into that. Well, that one felt like way more scattershot, and not really anything at all really connected. Maybe it's just because of just like being repeat content that came outside of events. Maybe that is why. But yeah, it doesn't feel like, you know, we have like a true line for this. Would like be like my issue here. So, oh, he's gonna be fine. Nothing gonna happen to him, like at all. And you're gonna carry on like a normal day, Nope.
Technically, this one gave more because we have information about anime collabs and things like that.
That doesn't make it any better of just being like collaborations. that did not fit. That did not fit the overall problem with PSO.
I'm not here to talk anyone out of their opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm just kind of shooting things out there. But the point is, you don't know where this is going. And getting angry before you can even give something a chance.
This is literally getting to my point.
I don't know. It just seems...
of literally my point of like that content could be nothing more than filler content for something greater coming. But once again, that don't help them allow.
To me, counterintuitive, but I don't know. Everyone's different. And I've been talking to a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine who have these negative opinions, just because I want to understand their mindset.
Oh, absolutely.
Most of the remarks I hear are that, oh, the community's negative. All I see is negativity around me. I go in and people are being negative, etc., etc. I don't want that for our game. Hell, I just hosted Ship 3 Festival. We had hundreds of people brought together to celebrate just a day that started a tradition we have on Ship 3 to bring people together. Just seeing the duality of an event like that, to people saying the game is dead and the game is absolute crap, blows my mind. And normally I don't get affected by stuff like that. I'm the glass half full type of person. I could only imagine how it could affect someone who has never experienced things like community events with all that negativity. Hell, could you imagine being a new player right now? Being brand new to the game?
Yeah.
And if you are a new player, I just want to tell you it's not always like this. This is a very weird time. Anyway.
Yeah, that one I'm thinking like, yeah. And the reason for like new players, maybe once again, Steam Chart not anything to go by any means, but man, at least on the PC side, 7% drop in new players, like nothing to like sneeze at though. Hey Mason, how you doing, Mason? Yeah, figuring out what cloud to belong in. Yeah, because that's the whole thing of like, in situation like that, you know, usually living in bubbles are not a good thing, usually. But when it comes to like this discussion, is being in a bubble or just not being invested, like a bad way to put it, but you know, being the type of person that like just get up, log on, do whatever, log out, never look at anyone's opinion, never look at social media, never look at YouTube video. Like the game is nothing more than a listing on PSN or Steam or Epic or wherever. Is you know, like the whole saying that ignorance is bliss, and this is one of them situations. And to be totally honest, this is not just a PSO problem. They kind of feel like a, you know, any corporate like product, movie, music, books, games, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. Like, if you are able to live in that ignorance and that bliss, elite when it comes to like the type of stuff or the, you know, entertainment, and you are way better off in almost every way. You know, if you especially like any with like what she had talked about, like logging in, seeing people hardening about how bad the situation is. Like if you just turn your chat off and never WeChat, you know, you're not really ever gonna realize it. So yeah, if you can find a Nobi, feel free to send it. No matter what they add, I still fit my category, which is the grind. Absolutely, yeah. I'd be right there with you if the grinding was actually consistent. Cause you know, look at me in Wayfinder. Like I'm grinding all the fucking time when I can. Like hell, we're probably gonna be grinding in Wayfinder later tonight for like some freaking Phoenix battles. So I'm with you. It just for me, you know, consistency is what matters. But honestly, like, is that what you enjoy and you don't care about anything else? Absolutely. Live in that moment, you know? Yeah, because like I said, for me, NGS is still a good game. Okay, thank you, Dopey. Like, it's still a good game. Is it a good live server game for, like, you know, over time and community and all that? You know, they get a little more harder every day, but like I said, like, for any new player coming in, if a new player will hop in, play the game, level the map level, do the main story, do whatever, like, goal they make for themselves, and they complete that goal, and then they just walk away. That is the best way to play NGS, let's be honest. That's the best way to play it. That's the best way to play most games and live services at that point. Play it, if you like it, make a goal for yourself, do said goal, and then, you know, bugger off. That's the best way to stay sane in the gaming climate nowadays. 3 hours long? Okay, so we're gonna have to watch that in like pieces. I see no beat.
The point of this video was to say, we are responsible for the future of our game. Regardless of what Sega does, as long as those servers are up, we're responsible for the future of our game. And if we want it to live...
Yeah, the whole like new player thing, I think honestly is the thing to keep in mind about the new player grind is I feel like a lot of new players, or not just for like PSO, just in general about like the types of games. You know, you're seeing it, like, if you hang around in the Wayfinder community, you're seeing it right now. Well, like, what do you mean I got a one that quit 5 times to get this item? I want to get it 4 tries. You know, like, people complaining about the grind in Wayfinder right now. And the whole time looking at it, just like, holy fuck, you have no idea, Paulson. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, a lot of people have just, once again, let's go back to what I have always said, all about how you train your viewer base and your players.
Wrong, Troy. The best way to stay sane in the gaming climate nowadays is to play and beat. And 100%. Vagrant Story. You're welcome.
That too, Pride. Also known as, let's go back to 1999, 2000. The good old day, Pride. Not long, sadly, but yeah, like a lot of like new player, because of how live server, company, MMO, community, whatever, have trained the player base of that instant satisfaction of I get in, I do content once, maybe twice, get what I want, get the fuck out, or move on to the next thing. Is, I feel like, something that kind of comes into play, though, especially in the case of Wayfinder, where the grind is not bad. Like, I literally have almost got every Wayfinder unlocked, and all the items I need to farm, I literally farm for like 20 minutes, and I have them all. And like, what takes long is because, you know, you need like 7 different items. But getting each of the items don't take long at all, which in return for me is like consistency and satisfaction. But But in the case of like PSO, you know, that barely exists at all. Hell, the drop way of the lie in a lot of ways. But yeah, like when it comes to like that type of stuff with a lot of players, I feel like a lot of players in general do. Maybe this all come back down to the whole thing like twofold. On one hand, is a lot of people complaining is millennials and Gen X, and maybe a lot like later, like Gen Z, you know, the mid-20s, late 20 Gen Zs, of like, you know, not having the time to put into some of the stuff in the case of NGS, especially how crazy it is, anymore so. And how a lot of studios over the last few years have very much adopted the whole idea of like, just giving you the stuff, or just being like, oh, we're not going to give you anything, but you can give up $5 though. And I feel like that have like, between that and between time, which I get to technically break into two cases. Like after a certain age, it's more of a time problem. And then for like the younger generation, it a why can't I just pay and get it, you know, type of deal. Or, you know, you live in the middle and be like, I don't have time or money, fuck all this. You know, and also we can't forget that is a category among itself, especially in America. So it's like, I think that the other thing that kind of like hurt that whole thing. So when a game like NGS is so like anti-player time and respect, is that also is like a big turn off. Because if a game like fucking Monster Hunter or Wayfinder is offending the people, I follow like farming. And like Monster Hunter and Wayfinder, I feel like are two of the best when it comes to like time versus, you know, respecting. Like that kind of says something about like the genre of, you know, like grinding games. And then you have China, and then China, like, you know, totally fine with it. And also money in China. But, you know, buying the stuff. So, you know, that also kind of play into it. Exactly, that well I am at well bladed. Like, yeah, I like PSO2 more than NGS. Which is why it killed me the way they just, like, dabbed PSO2 and left it in a ditch somewhere while NGS thought it. But I still like NGS. It just, if I had to pick, like, I will always pick PSO2 any day of the week. And when it comes to new players, the only reason I would recommend NGS over PSO2 for new players is mainly because, you know, PSO2 is one step we move from just becoming EVE Online with it menuing. You know, it's not quite that bad, but it can get there sometimes. Won't last another 5 years, as sad as say. Yeah, I think Sega like NGS, I think gonna be fine for the next 5 to 10, or Elite 5, bare minimum Elite 5. I think PSO2 will be lucky to make it like another like 3 years. I think NGS had gone within 3, and NGS had gone in 5 to 8, and then whatever come net from Sega when it comes to PSO.
I think it's just a better idea to spread positive vibes than clinging on to negativity, because it almost feels like just going into a void. It never ends. I can say that some of these really positive encounters I've had in game.
Yeah, that's the reason I always talk about, like, oh yeah, it sucked, but just imagine if it didn't, game, but also, you know,
my positivity outside of that.
And we talk going into like design stuff, or as I have always said, outside the fashion community, because the fashion community is the whole thing on NGS. Outside the fashion community, gameplay wise, go play Wayfinder at a better NGS. As long as, you know, you don't care about fashion, because, you know, fashion is barely a thing in Wayfinder, for now anyway.
I just really hope that you listened. If you think my opinion is completely wrong, that's fine. But I hope you took the time to truly listen to what I had to say. And maybe this is just me venting, I don't know. But I want to see better for NGS.
I do too.
It will die. No one wants that. Even the people who say the game is crap don't want that because they still play every single day. As I always say, guys, stay comfy and just try to stay a little bit more on the positive side.
Honestly,
not everything is great. I'm someone who, on a personal note, struggles with depression. Even right now, I'm not having a great time, but I'm not going to completely give up on one of my outlets because things aren't going my way. Just try to surround yourself and others.
Which is the main reason why we still hop in the PSO every week or every other week.
Okay, well, bye guys.
But yeah, like I'm still like at the end of the day, when it comes to NGS and you know, because I'm always more, I feel like I'm more the person that the cup don't exist. Because, like, I'm more in the line of, recognizing, like, design choices, recognizing pattern, recognizing, like, company structures and whatnot. So it's like, it's not half full, half empty. Like I said, the cup don't exist to me. So with that being said, though, with NGS, is like, I still think there is stuff Sega could do, not only on gameplay level, we're talking just completely, like, talking to the player base, that they could do that would help the game so much. They're never gonna do any of it, but, like, example being, like, if Sega started, like I said, literally being like, bluntly saying, like, here's everything we working on. Some might happen, might not. Update the player as they progress. Like, the second you get canceled, you let the player know as soon as possible if it get canceled. If it change, you keep them up to date with that development. And on top of that, like, showing that Sega actually doing something more than 1 month in advance. And we know they not. Obviously, we know they don't. Because like they haven't even said, it take like 6 months to a year to get anything done. So if the community had that insight into every step of the way, and then on top of that, for the stuff we did get, actually communicate like what it is, like we have talked about, like example with like the Fall thing of like Fall was announced in 2 months, well I think 2 months before it came out. Second they show that 4th gameplay trailer, if they knew what the requirement was gonna be, say it. If they said, like, for example, they would have been like, hey, they're quite gonna require a battle power of 30, 60, whatever, yeah, with like X amount of DPS, and then did a thing where like from there leading into like, okay, here's the augment we are making, this is how we changing them, this is how we're gonna help you. Like, if they would have been like that about it, then when Fall came out, instead of 90% of the player being like, what the fuck is it, why can't I do that content, why is it so hard, why, or like, on my end, like, why am I like 5 points away in battle power? How can I even do that? Like, if Sega would have bluntly said the requirements 2 months earlier, that would have given player 2 months to farm, to plan, to strategize. And then more people would be able to get in it right away. And then in return, that by doing that, we'll start building in the whole like understanding that they are moving from community back to gameplay, and start teaching your community like, hey, maybe you should start caring about your equipment again, and not just like the 5% of the players that gotta have god tier at all points and, you know, farm for 20 hours a day to get one augment that's gonna break or get lost, and they're gonna lose, you know, a couple $1 billion in the process. Like, if they did that, not only did that start training your audience, that also start showing some like caring to your audience, that start showing you actually doing content that your audience might want. Also, giving your players enough time to any of the feedback will only be like only so much useful, especially since they haven't got their hands on it, would also, you know, allow them to give like honest feedback, such as like my whole thing about like Lucille was like, why is the enemy marked? Why is it not like saying like when we in a quail what that quail is? Because once you have like, you know, 8 dots in a quail, you're not gonna be able to see if this like a 1 or 2 or a star. It's just not gonna happen. Like that type of stuff, like that, like simple like, oh yeah, duh, yeah, we should add this. You know, like common sense stuff that developers just overlook. As someone who did development, you'd be surprised some of the shit that we just overlook because, you know, no to the grindstone type of deal. And like so much like common shit that just don't even cross our minds. Like as an example, because we so far into it. And like I feel like that would go so far to helping the community, elite for the community that paying attention. And then hopefully by proxy, the people that are paying attention will be able to pat down that information to the people that are angry because they think they got banned because of X, Y, and Z, when like, no, you guys were literally doing real money shit. You know, because you're never going to dump out, you know, the people that just going to hate the hate. But I still feel like that would like help out a lot as far like bumping the morale up a little bit. And the better the morale, the less doom and gloom everything is. And then we turn any of the game technically never get better. We won't be in like this state where like 99% of the player base are like, fuck you, Sega. You know, it might only be like 40% of the player base, you know? And then not counting like then getting into like the marketing and then actually start getting into like, you know, game design stuff, but they're more like separate discussions that we have had. But yeah, that kind of like what they should be doing. And, you know, and not like, you know, not like they're not game devs that is literally doing just that, of just like breaking down stuff that may or may not any happen, and if it does happen, how would they like for that stuff to happen? Like, but at the same time is, you know, they also kind of boil that down to a lot of Japanese devs and how a lot of them is like trade secret, like NASA shit, you know? But yeah. That honestly how I would go about fixing it if I was Sega. Like, absolutely. Seminole Best in Jet and Bait. I really like Seminole and Bait, but then again, Seminole and Bait were very much... That was more of an outside combat class for me. You know, like all the animal breeding and feeding and raising, but let's be honest, that was one step away from just being a child garden at the end of the day, which is probably why I enjoy Seminole. But nonetheless, there you go, chat. Go give Nightshade some love if you haven't already. I'm pretty sure the majority of you probably already subscribed to Nightshade. But go give her some love, and yeah. I mean, I feel like I meet Nightshade in the middle. Like, I don't think it's 100% the community fault, but majority is the community fault. But let's not give Sega a complete write-off here. Well, Sega, like I said, Sega the match. We are the kindling. We are the one spreading the fire. Sega just light the match. So I say 20% Sega, 80% the community of where we set right now. Like, absolutely.